Each of us is a catalyst for change, for transformation, for wisdom, for creative, joyous possibility. That's a quote from my guest today, Tambra Harck. Hi, I'm Paula D'Andrea for Rock Your Life TV. Thank you so much for joining us as we explore truth and illusions today, and to see if we can really experience heaven on earth. When you finish watching our show, please visit pauladandrea.com/RYLTV so that you can receive a free gift and join our guest list so that you stay in tune with more people who rock like Tambra. I'm so happy to have Tambra Harck with us today. She is a true visionary, and she facilitates clients and audiences around the world to live with great joy and wisdom and wealth as they activate their soul-inspired missions to the world. She is a visionary founder of ONLÉ International, an engaged global project dedicated to foster consciousness and collaboration. For more than 20 years, Tambra has worked intensely and intimately in mystery schools and privately and in retreat settings to bring a deep understanding of symbolic realms to everyday life. Her clients range anywhere from spiritual seekers to global visionaries, from philanthropists to major international media and consumer-based companies. But her greatest joy is to shake up expectations of the norm and invite you to live beyond your soulful imagination. Her warm and insightful presence is said to ignite new realizations and expanded possibility, and I look forward to bringing you into that realm today. I just breathe in the energy of Tambra, and it is such a warm feeling, and I'm so happy to present her to you today. Welcome, Tambra, and thank you so much for joining me.
Wow, thank you. You know, I've read that introduction before, but I hadn't felt it the way that you just read it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think there definitely is a strong connection going on right now, and I think that we'll just dive right in with that, Tambra, because I think that's what it's all about. Is that all of us we're working to find connection, and that I think is one of the elements to rock your life. Is that when you're able to first make the connection with yourself, to live in a very aware place, to leave your past in the past and leave your future in the future, and just pull into what you can contribute as each moment unfolds. That's really the gift that will rock your life, that will bring you more into being, to enliven your relationships with yourself and with other people, whether it be business or pleasure or family, friends. Anything that, every situation that you encounter, you bring that fullness, you bring that strength of who you really are into being. So I think that's the part of the truth. And I think probably today you'll help shed light on some of the illusion that people live under when they aren't quite at that elevated state.
Tall order, and yes, I hope so too. Yeah, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about our intrinsic desire for belonging and connection. And, in the chakra system that lives in the very lower, primarily the lower first and second chakras, but we also know it in our bodies. And so often I find that when we're engaged in our big visions, those things that get us wildly excited, but also in super planning mode and needing to, do major project planning. I don't know if you've ever done a spreadsheet for a project, but, it can be quite a daunting experience, and it's very mental, which takes us very far away from our bodies and very far away from that grounded experience of connection. And I think this time that we're living in invites us into being able to bridge all of that. not just in our bodies, but with our real connections, so that when we have a big vision, and sometimes the big vision is, I want to have peace in my own home. You know, like often people talk about, you know, big visions as philanthropic and world-changing environments, but I got to say that peace in my own home is world-changing for some people, for most of them.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I love that you bring that up too, because it really goes to you know, creating the environments that support you, and you know, we're better than your home, and then your office, and then out into the larger realms. But definitely, I couldn't agree more with that. Thank you so much for saying that, sharing that.
Yeah, you know, I think too there's all these shadow elements that happen with this sense of belonging and this desire for belonging. So I was recently watching some training videos from somebody who's very well respected in teaching people how to host events, for instance, which I've been doing. I've been hosting events since I was 10 or something. It's kind of one of those intrinsic things. But there was this phrase she kept saying in her training relative to marketing the events, and that was that there's safety in numbers. And every time I heard her say it, I just would feel this like jolt, like inside I'd be going, that is not true. Like, that's not true. There is not safety in numbers, and there's safety in numbers. So this sense of belonging, this desire for connection, for intimacy, for contributing to others and to having them contribute to us, those all want us to believe that there's safety in numbers. But if we simply say things like that or think that they're supposed to be true because other people of import say them, and then we have our own experiences of unsafety in numbers, you know, peer pressure, having, you know, like a really dear friend of mine was raised in a Mormon church. He never felt the connection to that faith. It just did not exist in him. And the pressure to have testimony, as they say it in that faith, just didn't live in him. So he wasn't going to lie about it. But that's not safety in numbers unless there's plenty of permission for the other, for whoever the other is, to say, I disagree or I don't want that. So there's this dance that I think we're called into in our ever-expanding conscious lives to also become present for what are the words we're choosing to say our truth. And can we become even more fluid with the truth? Like, it's not just, you know, like that movie where Jack Nicholson's You Can't Handle the Truth. It's not like that kind of truth. It's like, do you know your own truths? And I say it with plural, like your own truths, like your own values and your own gifts and your own vision for what experiencing heaven on earth would be for you.
Absolutely, and I love that, and I think that is really like the place is that to start to delve into that, and it's, you know, it's kind of like, you know, it is what this show offers. You know, each time I bring a guest on, they offer a different insight, a different perspective, and it really is about allowing people to kind of wake up within themselves, to participate more in their life, to be in stride with life, to find their strengths and about what they really believe in. And I think when you're hearing concepts in a very positive way, it allows you to just kind of expand into that and really feel into it. And I would encourage viewers, you know, to do that when you're watching. Is just really, you know, listen with everything at your at your resource, where you're really taking it in to your heart, you're taking it into your inner being, and be able to see where it strikes a chord. What are the things that really resonate for you that you want to give rise to, so that can, you know, complement what your inner truth is. I'm sure that you found this, Tambra. I know you've done you know, just a lot of beautiful work with a lot of people in private retreats, and you know, presenting to people and so forth. And I'm sure that you you know, discover that all the time is that people just, you know, they get kind of like inundated with now with technology, with all of these outside influences, whether it be, you know, from an early age with their own family, you know, culture, religions, things of that nature. And then as they start to go through life, their education, people that they meet along the way, now, you know, all of these messages coming out of everywhere from
everywhere.
the forums. So it's kind of like an inundation. So it's like, okay, you know, give us, for you, how is it that you find is most effective for people to like really get into, to be able to, you know, wade through all of that, to be able to just, you know, let it go, to give rise to their truths.
Mm-hmm. You know, I have two things coming up. One is that from a personal story, I can remember reading several different books over a period of time, like, I mean, over many, many years, and that a few things stood out from each of those books that kept being like, you know, some people would talk about them being the whispers, but they were like knocks on the door, like, but when I heard the words, when I would say the words, I would think, I don't know how that could possibly be true. And I don't know if I could quote either one of them at the moment, but the two that occurred to me are one from Paulo in The Alchemist, where he talks about wherever you have a desire, when you really want something, all the universe is conspiring to give it to you. I'm paraphrasing, but that's the phrase.
Yeah,
and then there's another similar message from Wallace Wattles, I think it is, in The Science of Growing Rich, and I can remember like each of those, like them staying with me, and I would write them in journals, and I would wonder about them, and I'd take that question into my meditations, and mostly I'd be pondering it, saying, how could that be true? Like, how could all the world want to conspire to shower me with blessings when I know that I'm unworthy, or I'm not, you know, I haven't done enough yet, or I've, you know, have big dreams and I've only come to a fraction of what they are, and giving you a little glimpse into my internal psyche. And so what I chose to do and what I offer to people is that when there are messages that are raising you up, those messages that I just said, they raised me up, my internal skeptic and my own judge against myself would push them away. So there's a dance that happens internally with that. And if I just related to the one that wants to push it away, I'll never know the blessings that the messages are bringing awake in me. And it's only because I have that big response that's saying, how could that be true? I'm not worthy. That if the response was like, whatever, then there's nothing to work on. There's nothing to explore. But my response was like, you know, I don't know if that could be true. I really want it to be true. I don't want that to be true. And it was this push-pull of it. And so as I continued to nurture it, I could see that life is always filling my life and everyone's life with a perpetual number of blessings. Like, I can't add enough explicatives to that sentence, you know. Showering us with blessings. And so what I did, and if this seems to be something similar for our viewers, then I invite you to, I started a journal of the countless ways that life works out beautifully for me. And I gotta tell you, sometimes I'm blown away with what I discover in that journal. And one journal just dedicated to that. And I've gone back over the course of my life and I capture moments. And in some days I think of 3 or 4 or 5 things or 10 things. And some days I can't think of one. And in those days that I can't think of one, those are the moments when I can feel the tenderness of not letting life support me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally, and I love that. So there's your golden nugget, people, right there, and I love that you're dedicating, like, you know, just one, you know, that one thought to stay present, and
Yes.
you know, feeling into it and writing about it. And I think, you know, the it's so easy to get caught up in those cycles where people get pulled away, where you know, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, oh, I messed up again, you know, all of those type of things that, you know, that come up and pull people out of their awareness. Because guess what? Those blessings that you're talking about, those opportunities that you're talking about, they're always there.
Always.
The universe is there. It's always providing. And it's like, okay, let's shift the focus. And the exercise that you gave just totally shifts the focus. And that's really what you need. Because then as you start to awaken that in you, as you say, and let that give rise, then it's like, boom, there you go. It's right in front of me, and it becomes clearer. And it's all of those little things too. I think that people are sometimes looking for these big epiphanies and just like, you know, big changes in their life. And it's the subtle things. When you allow yourself to be in that space to, you know, to notice the subtleties, those are the gifts. That's where things really start to happen. That's how you can really rock your life and be able to see your truths and not be, you know, bombarded with illusions, and you see really with much more clarity, and allow your soul and your heart to actually see as well.
I'm so glad you brought up big epiphanies. Like, don't we love them? Of course, they're delicious and tantalizing, and you know, they're like life climaxes that just happen all over you, right? Of course, we love them. But the thing about an epiphany, like, or those moments where, you know, the seas part and you see your own beauty, or you see life as the grace of God, that's extraordinary, those moments. And we live in these very human material bodies. We need to, if we want to have those moments become intrinsic in our being, then I think we're invited into finding ways to bring that epiphany experience, that, you know, everything is delightful, amazing, the world's shattered into a million blistering gold stars. I don't even know what I'm saying. Like those moments where it's just ecstatic, that we want to find ways to bring them into the nuances and then the subtleties. So, you know, whether, like, I have this amazing relationship with the horizon, particularly looking out over the ocean. Like, it's one of my places that I can go to, and I don't have to physically go there to experience it, although physically is better. But I don't do that every day. So some days when I'm drinking a glass of water, I simply pause for a moment to picture the image of the sea reaching out for forever to the moment of meeting the sky, and sensing that beauty, and that I think of it as a kiss between heaven and earth. And as I drink the water, I'm ingesting that heaven on earth. So it's a way to bring this epiphany moment into something simple, like picking up a glass of water and having a sip.
Cheers.
Good.
Drink to life.
Yeah.
And I love your delivery, Tambra. You're so poetic. There really is a beautiful cadence to you, and also delivery of your message. So I think that's part of one of your energetic qualities, in really being able to you know, open and alive in a space for other people to bring in that consciousness and those connections.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been one of my you know, one of my tools to develop and hone and fall in love with. And I find a great honor when I get messages from people saying, I hear your voice in my head, or I hear your voice in my heart. And I know that it's not that they're hearing me as like guru-esque, because that's not who I am, but that it's speaking something to their soul. And that means a lot to me. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. I love to hear that. And I'm going to ask you if you could please share one of the ways that you know, perhaps when you're working with somebody, that you can share with viewers, that they can, you know, really get into a space where first of all they can welcome the connection, and also maybe tap in a little bit more into their consciousness, that we'll just kind of like give them that opportunity to first of all just breathe the space open, so that they can kind of like, clear the way out of all of those things that seem a little bit more daunting, and really just get into, you mentioned earlier before about being able to access the truths that that someone has for themselves. So do you have any like really tried and true techniques that really allow that to come into being?
I do, and
I know that you gave the journaling as an example, as a
yeah.
great way to be able to do that. But anything that you do, like that allows you to just do a quick connection with yourself, a quick scan, and just kind of
One of my
automatically
favorite.
pop you into that space.
Absolutely. So the thing that I feel strongly about and think that is highly advantageous for us as human beings is to remember the grace and miracle that our bodies are. So our bodies bring us to the moment. As if you are really focused in your meditations and heightening and expanding and lifting up and seeing the cosmos, which is all extraordinary, if you do that without also bringing that back down into the experience of your body, then you're losing the connection to being here. And it's the being here that lets you make true material connections with human beings. Like imagine, I don't know, you can't have a great meal without being able to taste it. So we need to be in these bodies. So some easy, simple, tried and true ways to do that are if you, and you could do this making any shift. I think it's great for making a transition. So going from work to home, or from home to play, or from being on your computer at home to going and having a meal, or having an important conversation with a beloved. So very simple. Stand up. Get your feet on the floor. I do it now, but I'd be out of camera. So stand up. Put your feet on the floor and feel your feet. Feel your feet. Like literally feel your feet. Don't just feel your feet standing, but feel the floors of your feet touching the ground. And if you're not literally touching the ground, like the earth, then imagine how close the earth is. Like just do a quick check. If it's 3 inches below your feet under the concrete, or if it's 150 feet down, 15 floors. Somewhere beneath you is the earth. And just feel your connection to the pulse of the earth. And even if what I'm saying sounds like nonsense, your body still knows this, because your body has this constant rhythm, this pulse. It actually has multiple pulses simultaneously running, just as the earth does. And if you can bring yourself to that moment and just say, my body, I'm here. Now, if you experience pain, you're probably running away from your body most of the time, checking out from it. But if you simply just notice that the pain is there, rather than put your attention on the angst of it or the suffering of it, just notice the discomforts or the pains that are there and feel the movement of the rhythms of the earth through your body. And again, I know that sometimes I can say these things and they sound like they're maybe nonsense when it comes down to making a real connection with somebody. But the truth is that when you separate yourself from another person because you can't feel yourself and you're longing to have connection, there's never the bridge never gets made. Does that make sense? Like you never build the bridge because you don't have one side of the bridge built, which is here.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that I I know that I personally have experienced times in my life where that was the case, and it is part of bringing an awareness level to not only the mind, not only to the heart, but also to the body, so that there isn't any one that is like overpowering. You really, I think where what I'm getting from what you're saying is really creating the being able to create a harmony within yourself. We are a physical self.
Yes.
We have that biological being. We also have the capability to, be in energy outside of ourselves and be able to connect. But if you aren't connecting with yourself, there isn't any way that you're going to connect with anything else. That's just
right. And then not connecting with yourself can come through as ways of having unrealized and unconscious expectations. Like those expectations, these are often where illusions come from. They come from the seeds that were planted by the stories told in your family, for instance, or things that you picked up in school, or maybe as a soul you came in with them from other lifetimes. I don't know where they come from, but when you're unconscious to your expectations, I'll say when we are unconscious to our expectations, we then see everything through the filter or the illusion of that expectation either being met or not being met. And if you can get present, then you can see, oh wait, I just had an unspoken expectation. No wonder I'm disappointed. No wonder I'm feeling disconnected. Maybe that's why they didn't understand what I was saying.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that is just like really like for someone to explore if they do feel a disconnect. Why is it? Why would you think that you need a buffer between you and somebody else? And so it's definitely a great opportunity to just allow yourself to explore that and say, okay, I recognize it. Am I willing to, make the change surrounding it so that I do feel better connected, that I feel good about myself, that, I'm stronger in who I am, that I can see that the things that I'm deeming myself to be unworthy, invaluable, non-existent, unable to make connections, unable to receive love, any of those type of things that are tied into that story, into that illusion that you're, living from. It's really about, okay, can I accept that, and am I willing to, create something different? And you do have the power to do that. It's really like if you're getting like any inkling that there's some type of illusion there, you definitely then that's the awareness. That's
exactly it.
The shift you need to be able to stand back in your power, to claim yourself back, and go and know, okay, and it's okay that you've felt whatever way that you felt. There isn't anything here to fix. There isn't anything here to blame. There isn't any need for any of that. It's just like okay, I recognize it now. For however long it took you, whatever the reason was, now it's about, let me see what I can do about it.
Yeah. In the first book that I wrote and published, it's called Sacred Truths, and the first sacred truth in the book is you are an infinite and powerful being. And so I would say, how can an infinite powerful being really be stuck? Like really, like how could they? How could you? And so if you're feeling stuck, know that you've attached some meaning to an illusion. That's it. It's that simple. And even I think that truths are illusions and illusions are truths. Like there's a whole, we could go on for hours now, but that's why we do this in mystery schools, is that it can take a while. But there's ways that I think that if you're in investigating, but not with looking for a culprit, and rather looking for, where's my heart come awake? Where do I feel vibrancy in my body that's not a false vibrancy? It's not brought on by, a high, like from too much adrenaline or too much caffeine or whatever, but that it's something that feels awake inside me. And you can start to find the ways that your illusions fall away, the more you get present for that.
I love that. And for somebody to really to explore this, to see the truth in illusion, what is a good way for somebody to contact you, Tambra, and where is your presence on the internet?
My website's probably the best place to start, and that's tambraharck.com. And I think you've got the spelling. It's a tricky one.
Cool, cool. I love everything that you've presented today. It's definitely is a powerful message, and also in a way almost simplistic. And I think a lot of that has to do with who you are, and how you present yourself, because the energy and the circle that you've created, and where you deliver from, is so beautiful that it does seem very very easy for somebody to step into that consciousness and that connection. So,
yay! It's been a long time.
And are there any other tips that you might have for somebody before we wrap up? Just to really, we've talked about a lot of different things. You've given some really wonderful insights for people. And if there's anything that you'd like to cap off with before we finish up, I'd love to hear your input on that.
My personal mission here on through the rest of my life, I believe right now, is to foster a lived experience of heaven on earth. And what I know about that so far is that it's going to require everyone who's willing to participate to, first of all, ask those simple questions. They're simple, but they're not necessarily, we don't find the answers by looking on Twitter necessarily. Do you know what I mean? But to ask the questions like, what is heaven on earth to me? How would I have the lived experience? So I'm not just saying heaven on earth as it's some utopian, unimaginable, we can't ever get there place. I'm saying a lived experience of heaven on earth. Now, what would it take for me to have that experience today? How did I have that experience in the last 2 weeks? Even just to notice it for moments, because the more we can put attention on the ways that we have created it and do create it, we'll create more of it. And I've been shying away from these words, believing that I thought we were even capable of it for a long time. But I had a vision when I was 10 years old, looking out a kitchen window, of a possible future for humanity. And the best way I know to describe it now is a lived experience of heaven on earth. So I invite all of us, if it speaks to you in any way, you have some tingling experience of, oh my God, is that possible? To just begin to ponder, how do you have the experience today? And how can you create it tomorrow?
I love that. That is really, really, and I love that you personalize it in the way that you do too, Tambra. Is that you really, I hear you over and over again saying what it means to you. Mm-hmm. So as a viewer, as somebody who's watching this, who's really feeling into it, it's about what it. And I love that you're not harping on anything you have to do it this way or anything like that. It's about the unfolding. It's about being able to really tap into yourself, to really be able to find that what it means specifically for you, right. And then so have that lived experience for yourself, mm-hmm. and then join in the shared experience, right. And add to the hum of the world.
Mm-hmm. That's how we do it.
That's how we do it. I love it. Thank you so much for joining me in this episode to really get into the truths and illusions a little bit more, so that people can start to individually and then collectively experience heaven on earth. Mm-hmm. I appreciate your being here with me, Tambra. And one of the best things that I think that I received from you is just the eloquence of being in gratitude and being in the self-connective place, and to define that that specialness that that my truths lie in, to be able to like really go into that space of living the experience. I think I've been kind of like hearing be in stride with life, and you definitely opened that up for me today, so thank you so much for that gift as well.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
I love the whole idea of Rock Your Life, and that you bring this spunk and fire, that you've got to bring your message and to share our messages. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And for all of you who are watching Rock Your Life TV, please go ahead and visit pauladandrea.com/RYLTV. I do have another gift for you there, as well as getting on our guest list, so that you can, hear from more people like Tambra, to, really reach into that special place for yourself, to find the strengths that lie there, to find the truths that lie there, so that you can rock your life. I'm Paula D'Andrea. Thank you so much for watching.